Mentoring is a concept that's been around for thousands of years. Substance misuse and mental health organisations have long recognised the benefits of this approach.
More recently, community groups have begun to develop mentoring programmes, from housing resettlement and debt advice through a range of issues often related to social isolation. In Barnsley, the local authority are keen to promote this approach.
We're the early intervention team, so we work with people who experience first episode of some kind of psychotic experience. And then alongside that usually runs things like depression and anxiety. So it's kind of a whole range of different things really, but it's the first episode. The volunteer programme within the NHS is extremely important and it's growing. So we're looking at increasingly working with people, with peer mentors and people who have lived experience. You just see that extra bit, it's a little spark that you get with people, and I think it's the completely connecting with somebody who's shared that experience with them.
Involving service users as volunteers can raise many issues. Making sure you're properly prepared will underpin the success of the whole programme.
Because in essence it sounds a brilliant idea, however when you sit back and you think about it, you know, it kind of highlighted a few things that we obviously thought, well, we need to think more carefully about this because we need to support the person that's coming as the peer mentor, plus ensure that they're supported by the team and the service users and the families, so it's got to fit for everybody.
There are lots of questions to be asked, and it is important to involve the whole team in the process.
We talked about it at team meetings, we talked about it with service users, so we did a lot of kind of preparation work to see whether we thought it would be of value.
You may decide to recruit from your own service users or externally, but it is always good practice to have a signed agreement with your volunteers and carry out interviews and background checks.
Usual NHS policies and procedures, and as volunteers adhere to that, as do paid members of staff. But we also have individual agreements as well. So each peer mentor has a supervisor and each peer mentor signs an agreement.
Training and induction are important so that volunteer mentors have the necessary skill and confidence in their roles.
It is also important that they know how to record their sessions in keeping with confidentiality and data protection regulations and other legal requirements such as safeguarding and equality and diversity. Barnsley Council work closely with Northern College to provide this training.
That's what I'm going to learn even more about. I'm going to learn more about myself for a start before I start thinking about anybody else.
I think it was South Yorkshire Probation that contacted the college, and there was a discussion around developing an accredited approach to peer mentoring. And from then on, it just grew in terms of its accessibility. It was a successful course, and we identified then early on that it would help and support people to go into any areas of progression from that, because the skills are so broad, like I said, in terms of personal development. And I just think it's a really powerful programme. The feedback is really encouraging, and it's not just about skills and learning techniques, it's about their emotional place, and I think that is key as well, because although they may feel that they're ready to give something back, and that tends to run across the peer mentoring programme, people who are here to develop and become peer mentors are usually doing something to give something back to the community and work in the areas of their experience.
Actually doing a one-to-one with someone, and maybe you'd had some similar experience, and trying to turn that into a positive way instead of making you feel maybe intimidated or worried about how you're going to deal with it.
Recruiting and training your mentors is only the beginning.
The next challenge is making sure the people are suitably matched.
The first stage of the mentoring process is for two parties to get to know each other. service user needs to trust the mentor, and this may take some time.
At this stage, the organisation should be checking that everyone feels comfortable with each other. The next step is setting targets and planning. Things might not always go to plan, and both the mentor and the organisation need to be flexible at this point in the relationships.
So everything that we sit down with clients and we'll ask people what their goals are, what their aspirations, what their hopes are, what areas they need to work in. So and that's reviewed as part of the process that we use, the CPA process that we use. So the targets and the goals that are in there are the ones that the peer mentors are involved in.
Sometimes it's 2 steps forward
And 1 step back.
The service user may disengage, boundaries may be compromised. There are a wide range of issues that could occur.
Hopefully the mentoring process will be a success, and it is possible that things may break down.
Yeah, I don't know if we saw them as risks, but I think we thought to kind of proceed with some caution.
I think for the organisation, they need to think about the framework in which they're going to offer mentoring within their organisation, and encourage or commission the training for perhaps ex-service users to build their skills. But they need to have their own internal framework, and it has to work within the policies of that particular organisation. It's got to sit in synergy with what they're hoping to achieve overall.
Would it bring something, would it enhance something that we already provide? And we thought that it probably would. I think my biggest piece of advice would be it's all in the planning. It's all in the discussions that happen beforehand. It's all in the exploring what areas you think the work that you do as a team could be enhanced. It's about how you're going to support that person, how the team's going to work together to ensure that happens.
Hopefully the mentoring process will be a success and your service users will move on.
The opportunity that the clients that we have and their families have been able to have access to somebody who has the lived experience and has come out with some real positives in their life and can show somebody, give that hope and optimism. I think that's been probably the most successful thing.
But keep in mind that just because a service user has been successful, that doesn't mean they're automatically mentor material.
Their own life experiences, I think sometimes coming from that experience and going in to support people who are going through a similar life experience can actually have its barriers.
Remember that mentoring isn't for everyone, but for a few the experience can be life-changing.
It's recognising that everybody is absolutely different. It's not just assuming because I've experienced similar to what the service users, then they need to hear my story, and then they don't need to hear your story. Your experience will give you the skills to listen to their story and encourage them through that. That's the one where there's often slight misunderstandings about being a peer mentor.
For further information and advice, please contact Barnsley Council, Voluntary Action Barnsley or Northern College on the contact details below.